business session to conduct the affairs of our city. Father, we seek your help and guidance with all of our affairs that we deal with tonight. We ask that you would guide our hearts and minds in the spirit of fairness and right thoughts and speech, and may we reach the right and successful conclusions on each matter that we undertake that are at hand. We thank you for being our source of guidance, and we ask that you bless those who are with us this evening. Bless our town and our nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Here.
Tim Johnson.
Here.
Kenny Me.
Here.
Sam Russell.
Here.
Lonnie Wright.
Here. I'd like to declare a quorum. Motion to approve the minutes of the January 7th meeting.
I second it.
Motion by Councilman Wright, second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Me.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wright,
Second.
second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Wright.
Motion.
Councilman Holly.
Motion.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenny Me.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. This time we'll hear from delegation. If you'd like to address this council, please stand, come to the podium, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We'll go into reports. Street Department.
Thank you, Mayor. The last time I was here, I had another meeting the last time y'all met. We finished putting up Christmas ornaments up. At 513 Cumberland in the alley, there's a big blue ball. Sam there called me on it. It was a big one, and we cut it up and fixed the alley back. We still need to patch it. Cut trees on Winslow that was leaning. That's down off of Carter Street. Cut about 4 trees there. Top trees on Swanee Street. Top 6 trees at Riverfront Park for Charlie next to the park. Top 2 trees on Morgan. Top 1 tree on Clifty. We fixed railroad sign at Riverfront. Railroad pretty strict on it. It was messed up. Fixed it. Fixed the stop sign at Riverfront. But we're still picking up leaves, finishing leaf pickup at this time. Still getting tons of brush every day. Cleaned some ditches. The signs that Mr. Ham's ordered for, I don't know, it's a truckload. We unloaded them today. I think they go along. Where do they go, Mr. Ham?
Run Street, Trenton, Livonia.
A little bit everywhere. We've been busy. Still got a lot to do. Any questions? I also like to say the street committee met and we checked the roads out that was going to be paved. Y'all be voting on it. Mr. Holly and Mr. Johnson, we rode around and looked at the streets, that was recommended.
I just want to thank Drake for doing that for us because they really need it bad. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Fire Department.
You guys got my monthly stats. A couple more things I want to report on is our FEMA grant. Kenny's been working very hard with FEMA, trying to get our process to go through. He has a conference call, I think, tomorrow with the guy to get everything. So hopefully by the second meeting in February, we'll be able to put it on the agenda for him to purchase the equipment that we got. The other thing, we've been doing some updates at Station 2. The last time we just done the walkthrough, like the lights in the bays and stuff, we put LED lights in the truck bay, took all the old lights down. Thanks to Bear Tidwell for installing them all, saved us a lot of money. I want to thank the mayor and you all for the dinner that you served us up there for Christmas time with the department heads. That meant something to me. I really do appreciate you just taking the time to do that. Just want to say that I really do appreciate it, and I don't really have nothing else at this time. I'll take any questions if you've got any.
No questions for the chief? All right, thanks, sir. Appreciate you. Police Department.
You all should have got our December monthly stats in an email, and I gave everyone our yearly stats tonight. I laid them up there for you when you can go through them. I'd like to say I got to see the yearly stats when they came together, and I'm pretty pleased with what we did this past year. Our drug charges doubled for the year, and we're getting more people off the streets like that. And we have a lot coming up this year. We have 3 in-service training dates set, and I'd like to thank the fire department, Chief Daniels. They have somebody in their fire department that's going to be able to teach a class for us that'll save us a lot of money on having to do the class online. So I really appreciate him getting that lined up for us to help us with our in-service. And we're going to, sometime this spring, we're going to host a Citizens Academy that will consist of, I think, 8 weeks, 1 night a week. And I'm hoping that the city manager and the councilman and the mayor can come and be a part of it and have a night to talk for maybe 30, 40 minutes just on your role on council and as being mayor, to the citizens that come to the academy, to let them know what the city's doing and what it stands for. And our surprise guest speaker will be Teresa Daniels. Oh no, I'm sorry. Teresa don't like to talk. We may have to get Drac instead. But that's what we got going on right now so far. We're fixing to start a neighborhood watch program to try to get into the different neighborhoods to talk to the people there and set stuff up for them. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
No, just want to clarify, you had said that you're happy that we doubled the drug arrest. What you mean is that we're cracking down harder.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's sad that we have to make some
Yeah,
arrests.
it is, but yeah, I'm pleased that we're working harder on getting them cleaned up.
I appreciate what you do with it. Thanks, sir. Golf?
Not much new at the golf course. We put the tarps down on the green Saturday. That was because of the cold front coming in. We're going to take those up tomorrow. Still getting some members signed up. We've got it at all city employees, our 25% off membership. So, anybody that wants to sign up to play for the year, it's actually a really good deal for city employees. I'm trying to get a tile fixed out of the golf course. Drac says he's going to help me, but we're not holding our breath.
Hey man, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
I've done out there.
Yeah, it had broke on. It's on the. I guess what would be the west side of the course. It had broke off, so we're gonna get that fixed in the next couple days, and that's it really. Nothing too new.
Any questions for for Jacob. Thanks, sir. Tourism director, or whatever your hat is.
Whatever you're calling me today. We had a work day at the trailhead in the museum this past Saturday. Councilman Buddy Holly got to come down and we got him to doing some construction. But we want to thank Billy Joe and Donna Daniels. They came out to help us along with her daughter Andy and Kelsey. They came out to help us. The other names that helped us, a lot of them comprise of the Temperance Committee at C.J. Sand, Linda Mulligan, Dina Jackson, Donna Billy Joe, and Buddy. But we made a lot of progress there. We got two huge display cases in the lobby there that Daryl Beeler donated us from the Superlative. I believe it's Antiques across the street. So we're working to get all of that in place. We've got another work day coming up, and every day, any of you all are allowed to come by to obviously come by and help, not allowed, but welcome to come by at any time to look over some of the stuff that we have there to help put, see how you get your feedback on how we may display it. And we got some of the display cases downstairs. Buddy put casters on the bottom, so they're unbelievably heavy, so now we can move them to rotate the museum exhibits in and out as we go along there. We had most of you know, the mayor attended, we had a movie in December, was Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation. Probably had about 300-something people come out to that free movie in December. And we're having another movie this Saturday night. We'd invite you to bring your wives or husbands out for a day. We're having Dirty Dancing at the movie Dirty Dancing at the Princess Theater, and it's a free movie, and our social media's already probably about doubled what it was for a Christmas Vacation, so we expect a huge crowd to come out to watch that movie. Some other things that we're working on, I'm meeting with the Walden Ridge Car Club and some other people. We're going to try to work with them to try to reestablish the cruise in for here in the city of Harriman. We've seen some people reached out to us, so we're going to try to work on getting that done. I'm also in the process of updating our tourism pamphlets for the city of Harriman, so if anybody on council or mayor or the departments have any ideas to put in the tourism pamphlets, I'm working with the Department of Tourism in Nashville, so we get those printed and get them in the visitor centers within so many mile area of the city. So if you have anything to add to that, we'll be happy to put it in suggestions for that. And also we're submitting all of our events to the state tourism websites and the state websites to get that underway. And also something new that I talked with Kevin about, and we're going to try to start doing every month, is a monthly newsletter for the city of Harriman. And that newsletter is going to be put out to update the council and the public what we've got going on in the city. Any department heads or the council or mayor, there are spots there. If you want to put any information in the newsletter, you're more than welcome to add that information. Also from the departments, and it's like I said, it's going to go on our website and social media, so that'll hopefully keep the council up to date what's going on and to keep the public up to date with what's going on with the city also. So that'd be a good avenue for some more communications. Like I said, I give Teresa a list of some events that's coming up. Hopefully we got those all distributed out to you in the city. Other than that, I invite everybody to come out Saturday night to watch the movie or help serve popcorn or just come out and have fun. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Joseph. Any other departments? Kevin, you have anything more?
Just a couple of things I'll update you on. Talked with the Department of Transportation. We expect that within 2 to 3 weeks we should receive the contract for the interstate lighting on exit 347. So that's something that'll be coming before council in the very near future. We have received our TDEC permit that we needed for the Margrave Drive project. After receiving it, we found out that we also need a permit from the Corps of Engineers. So that went off today. So we'll, if they're like they were when we did the work down at Riverfront on the bank, it took the Corps of Engineers longer than anybody else to get us our permit. So we're hoping it won't take as long this go around. It's a much smaller request that we're submitting, but we should be able to take that project to bid shortly after getting that permit back.
Why do we need Corps of Engineers?
Because we are extending a culvert in a blue line stream that is within a certain distance of the river.
Is that something TDOT, when we got the permit back from TDOT, they said you've got to have this from the Corps?
Yes. All the documentation has been submitted to USDA for our application for the grant and funding on the new building. So we'll be following up with them in the near future to try and put together a timeline for that project and see if we can expedite that through their agency as they review the information. And tomorrow, documentation should be submitted on the LPRF grant to TDAC for review so that they can look at the site plan for the community center property, and hopefully we can get the approval then to go forward with bidding that project as well.
Anybody have anything for City Manager? Thanks, sir.
Maybe we ought to talk to our senator about the Corps of Engineers. It sounds to me like they're getting too far into everybody's knickers. So I do.
All right, we're going to new business. First item, discuss and possibly approve paving recommendations from street committee. Kevin, you just want to highlight it?
Like Drac mentioned, the street committee met and they looked at some streets that have been brought to them for paving based on what we have put in the budget this year for that, and they made a recommendation that we pave Barnett Circle, Cedar, Vernell, and King.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Wright, second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Wright.
No, sir.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion.
This paving is limited because we only have 150,000 dollars in paving money.
Can you say those names one more time, street names?
Barnett, Cedar, King, and Vernell. Now separately, we should be paving parts of Margrave and Carter using the state funding, referencing back to the core permit that I just mentioned. But that would be a separate project and probably a separate bid as well.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, we're going to hold off until the next meeting to discuss, to approve it. And the next item, we're going to hold off to the next meeting also. We have a young lady that is interested in serving on the committee. A councilman has talked to her, but I have not talked to her yet. I'd like to talk to her before I recommend her. So, going to D. Discuss and possibly approve closing of alley adjacent to the Harriman Baptist Tabernacle on Old Roane Street. This is what we discussed in the last meeting, and we asked that letters be drawn up and taken to the homeowners that are adjacent to that property to make sure that everybody's okay with it. And we understand we are not abandoning this alley. We're just closing it to through traffic so they don't keep going down, tearing up everything down through there. Does that sound all right?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Russell,
I second it.
second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Russell.
Like I said before, the Tabernacle Church, they do a fantastic job of keeping their grounds up, and I think this will go to help them do that.
Councilman Johnson.
I just think it'll help them a lot, closing that off. Appreciate what y'all are doing out there.
Floor is open for discussion.
Do we have the paperwork?
It's in your packet.
Oh, okay. That's all I have.
Allison, did you get to look and make sure no issue, just like a temporary closure?
I didn't, but I understand that this isn't going to impede anyone accessing their property or their home, which is the biggest thing with closing an alley. And I believe I saw communication that the property owners who are near the alley or have property up next to it don't oppose it either.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Jim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me? Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, discuss and possibly approve resolution R0120-04, a resolution for a joint bid agreement between Roane County and the City of Harriman to delinquent tax property tax sales. We looked at this back some years back, and we held off on it at that time. There were some questions, but I think it's come back up, and I think Dr. Curley has looked into it, and I'm sure Kevin has looked into it, and it seems to be the right mix right now. Dr. Curley, do you want to address it some?
No, only that I did add a clause that would be in any future agreement that, and as part of this resolution, that we can stop anytime we want to. We can, it won't go on forever if we're not satisfied with how the agreement is working out. We can just dispense with it.
Okay.
Both parties can do that.
Motion to approve to go into agreement.
Motion?
Motion by Councilman Wright, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Wright.
Motion.
Councilman Holly.
Motion.
Floor is open for discussion.
What changes? Are we still sending it to Mr. McPherson
Yes,
every
we are.
2 years, and then
He's doing it on an annual basis now to catch up. And so therefore we will be part of the process with the county, as is Rockwood and Kingston in the tax sale, and obviously those properties that don't sell, we will be taking ownership of them, and we'll be proceeding to sell those properties should the owners not redeem them.
is the difference now the county's taking possession of the property? Or
We jointly do.
with this, we jointly will, or we
Yes.
do currently?
No, the city and the county will have joint ownership of the property. And any proceeds from the sale
We
of the
don't
property.
joint right now, the county's taking the burden by us signing this, we're just gonna split the burden with the county. For, say it's one nobody buys and it's condemned, and we'll go in half.
Signing this, there's an underlying bid agreement with more specific details as to how the bids and will start out and everything and be prorated to the parties. But this will allow the tax sale to be held the same time with the county, so Harriman doesn't have to have one separate. Because the county properties are also being done with Rockwood and Kingston, and we can also add Harriman at the same time instead of having to advertise a separate sale.
Yeah, I understand, but if we're joining up with the county to take responsibility, then like the building next to us, when it burned down, the county came in and did the demo. Am I right? It wasn't on the city.
But that building, I don't think was. Mr. McPherson's here if you want to ask more specific questions. about
Well, I mean,
that.
yeah, I don't, can I yield the floor to you and ask you if is that the difference? Are we gonna be,
There is some responsibility, but the real essence of what you all have looked at this for some period of time is you don't have a process. You're required, if nobody else, if you have a sale, and you all didn't for several years before I started working on it, and then we got the sale and we cleaned up a lot of things. And of course, the whole idea is, first of all, to have everybody share the tax burden equally, all the taxpayers, and second, in the instance where they're not, to have an enforcement mechanism, okay? This mechanism, if you all, for example, if we have a tax sale, and there are county and city taxes right now that are owing, if you all bid it in as then you will eventually end up as the owner, but you will have the responsibility to pay the county for those taxes. You don't really want to do that. This takes that away and gives you the advantage. The county has got a system that is set up as we speak. And the system is that they go and they try to sell these things on GovDeal, and they handle all of it. They got a process. And you can tag along on that process if you have this joint bid agreement. And if, for example, if somebody owed $1,000 worth of Harriman taxes and $1,000 worth of county taxes, then the property is bid in at the whatever that minimum, what that is. Now, you all may not get that much out of it because it may be a piece of property that nobody wants and it has to get sold for a small amount of money. But it gets it back on the tax rolls and does give you all a stream of income that you're not realizing right at the moment.
okay, yeah, I mean, mine was mainly questioning the commercial stuff. If we're gonna run into something that it might be cheaper to pay to do the process separate if we're not paying to tear down an old building downtown.
You'd end up with it anyhow. If we have a sale, you're going to bid it in, you're going to have the responsibility for it. If we have a sale and nobody else buys it, then the statute, the state law requires you to buy it. You're going to have it anyhow.
Which now, you know, if it's a building that has some kind of, something wrong with it, and the county decides that because it has hazardous material or something like it, they don't have to take it.
That's correct.
They have that option not to take it at the tax sale.
So we just are included with that then as...
Yes, it's a thing that we're doing to try to streamline it, get you all some money and give the county the process to get it back on the tax rolls where people will use it some way or the other.
Thank you.
Mr. McPherson, if the reference to where if there's, say, an environmental hazard and the county chooses not to,
if it's an environmental hazard, you all can refuse to take it too, but of course you all have got a piece of that over here. We deal with it every year.
Right.
The tax comes up on a piece that you've got. It's got an environmental problem. You're not required by statute to buy it. County doesn't buy it, you doesn't buy it. Now, it sits over there, and that's a problem for the city of Harriman, but it's not a situation where you're going to be forced to buy it if there's an environmental problem.
okay.
Any other comments? Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Ron Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries. That's all on the agenda. I'd like to read a letter and then ask the council if I could waive the agenda rule to address something on the letter. Dear Mayor, please accept this as a formal notice of my resignation from the Harriman City Council effective January the 9th, 2020. After careful consideration, I have made the decision to resign in order to further my career goal. Working with the City of Harriman has been a wonderful experience that has offered me many valuable opportunities to learn and grow, and I am very grateful to have been part of this organization. I wish the City of Harriman to continue growth and success in the future. Sincerely, Darrell Cook. I read that to let everyone know that Mr. Cook is no longer on council. He has resigned. But in doing that, he has left some spots open, and one of them that we need to get filled is the Finance Committee. The other ones we can wait on, but I'd like to ask the way to agenda rule to put another individual on the Finance Committee.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Russell, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Wright. All in favor, aye? Any opposed, like sign?
But it's not mine.
I'd like to recommend Mr. Buddy Holly to go on the Finance Committee. Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Wright, second by Councilman Meade. Councilman Wright.
He's well qualified.
Councilman Meade.
Good choice.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Jim Johnson,
Yes.
Kenny Me,
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Council comments. Councilman Johnson.
I have none.
Councilman Russell. Councilman Wright.
I got a couple of questions. I commend the street committee for the paving plan and recommendations. And that brings up a question that's always in the back of my mind. Do we ever plan to have a special election on the sales tax increase that we've had before that would be devoted to paving? Because everything they do is well and good and needed, but we're all going to be gone by the time we get across this town. There's just so much need, and those guys know it. If we don't have some source to repay like we did 3 years ago, that one summer of work, we're never going to get around. They'll all be wore out trying to do it. And I just wonder if we ever plan to try to do anything about it.
I know we've looked at it, we've run it one time, and we said we was gonna do it again, we was gonna advertise it and try to educate people about what it was about, more so than we did the first time, and I think that's kind of where it stalled out at, was start the educational process to start explaining to people exactly what we was trying to do. And I mean, I'm in favor of us doing it again. I don't know if we can get it on this ballot or not. I think we can still, but we need to do some educating to explain to people exactly what it was. And we're just trying to bring the sales tax up to what most every other county around us is at. And to designate that money just to go into the paving and infrastructure of the city. I don't know if that answers your question, Councilman, but I think that most everybody up here was here when we pushed it through the first time. I think that they're willing, we just got to get it, the people educated out there is exactly what we want to do. Not saying that they're not educated, so don't take that in the wrong way, but just to try to show them exactly what we're trying to do.
Because if we don't, I mean, we're never going to be able to do it.
$150,000 a year just pays about 2 to 3 roads. So you're exactly right, we'll never get there unless we borrow another $2 or $3 million and try to do it again like what we did, what we're still paying for. So you're in a never win situation. Did you have something? You want to go forward? Yeah, Councilman.
HUB has started their gas lines now, so some of the roads we've already paved, I'm sure they'll be dug up.
You want to ruin our day.
Well, you're on HUB, I thought I'd tell you.
Mayor, can I yield the floor?
Yes, sir.
Mayor and City Council, to me, being a property owner in the city of Harriman, to address a sales tax increase and for people to continue to drive down Roane Street and hit the bump, it's been there for years at the Harriman High School. If the state of Tennessee would fix that bump, you might have a better chance of passing a sales tax increase. But you try to pass that and citizens keep hitting that bump year after year. I mean, it's not, all of us that drive through there know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if it's a utility problem or what, but that's my input as an outsider, but as a property owner.
I know we've addressed that with the state several times, and the state has this whole corridor on schedule to be paved. When I came in here 4 years ago, it was gonna be next year, and then next year, and next year. It's been on there for 4 years. Every year I think it's gonna be this year, and then we get something that says next year. Where are we at, 2 years now?
At present, it's not showing them the next 3 years.
So now it's done, jumped off the 3-year map. But that's what, and I don't know how you win that. We've been down and talked to them, and they say, oh yeah, it'll be, I know when I came in here, it was on schedule. And, you know, the state just keeps moving it, but we'll address that issue again. But I agree with what you're saying. And I think people have to see that when you say you're gonna raise the sales tax, our thing is with raising sales taxes, it gets everybody that comes in through our city, rides on our roads. It helps them share the burden of what we share. But, you know, you gotta get out and ride it, and you gotta show that you're improving it. But what we wanna do is make sure people understand that that's the only thing we wanna use this money for. You know, we don't wanna buy police cars and this and that. We just wanna pave, just fix our infrastructure. And that's the biggest thing of us getting it out to people, is just to tell them that we're not using it for raises or anything. That money is set aside to do paving.
And I think it's only like $150 on $100 that you spend, or $1.50 on every $100 you spend, so it's not huge. I don't think it's gonna break anybody, but it does spread the load out on everything.
Dr. Curley, would you say that 50% of the sales tax comes from out of the community customers?
It's a good chunk. I'm not sure 50. You mean from out of state, from sales on the internet and things like that?
No, I'm talking
Sales
about
tax.
Oh, the sales tax itself. Yeah, comes outside the city boundaries. When we completed the work at Midtown, we increased by at least 25% there, and we were you know, it went in stages, so it actually increased over time. But we had Lowe's and Kroger come in first, and that added quite a bit of sales tax to the city. And then when the other stores came in and the other buildings, that bumped it up. I'd say 50%, yeah, at least.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Holly.
Well, I think we ought to approach it again, and like you said, explain, you know, things like that. That half of the money come from people that live outside the city and help us pave the roads that they use and drive on every day. I'm all for it, so. I live here, I'll pay the $1.09 per 100, there's no problem with that. Pay more than that if it needs to be.
It'd be a good idea, I think, to discuss it in more detail in a workshop.
Yeah.
There are some economic trends that need to be taken into consideration.
Councilman Meade.
Yeah, I would like to say if we do that, we need to, like we thought about after the first time, it needs to be on its own, just pay the money and do it on its own election. That way, that go out and vote are knowing, they'll know that issue, it's gonna be the only one on there. So I don't know if this year will be a good year to do it, they might be a little busy, but we need to start prepping for it, obviously, because we didn't from last time very much. And then, the other thing is, I wanna make sure Buddy's finance committee doesn't get revoked. We probably need to go ahead and make a formal accept Daryl's resignation by motion and vote though.
I checked on it, I don't know that we have to approve his resignation.
I'm not sure offhand.
From what I checked on, I don't think we do. We can,
Well,
just
I
be
just-
safe, but, yeah.
I don't want Buddy to get pulled off the committee or anything.
Well, I'd hate for, pull all the checks back that he signs off on. Is that a motion to accept his
Yeah, I make
resignation?
a motion that we accept Daryl's resignation.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilman Meade to accept Mr. Cook's resignation, second by Mr. Johnson. Mr. Meade.
No, sir. Thank you for the time he did though, so we can recognize him sometime.
Councilman Johnson.
He did good while he was on here.
Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenyon Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carried. Do you have anything else, Councilman?
No, sir.
Only thing I got is I hope I called everybody with the right name this week. Y'all had me some messed up last meeting. I was all over the place. I went back and watched the video, so I hope I called everybody with the right name. If I didn't, I'm sorry.
You can give them all the numbers, they never.
Well, I'm gonna start doing that. Number one, you go. Number two, I can't see them, so I don't know who's talking. All right, motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Any opposed, like sign.
Honorable Chairman Randy Ellis presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, Commissioner David Bell will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, please remain standing for the pledge of the American flag.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much just for another day, Lord. I'm so grateful for the opportunity just to draw a breath this morning. And Lord, I ask that you forgive me personally for taking that for granted. As I see my two kids growing up faster than I want them to, I see my loved ones leaving me faster than I want them to. And Lord, I don't take enough time to think about how grateful I should be for the time that you gave us, Lord. Just thank you so much for this gathering tonight. Be with us. Give us a spot in our heart to do the next right thing. Not doing it out of pride or doing it out of self-boasting, but doing it for the right thing and to do the right thing. Help us to examine these points that we're talking on. Be with the people here that are coming in here to be celebrated for their time. Lord, again, I say most of all, thank you for your son Jesus.
Yes.
If it wasn't for that, man, we would be a depressing world to live in. Lord, be with us. Thank you for everything. It's in your awesome son's name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please make sure you turn it down. Thank you.
At this time, if we go ahead and, in lieu of calling the roll, if you just log in on your roll call vote, it'll show present. And then everybody in the audience can direct their attention to one of the screens above me. It'll be showing how each commissioner votes. And it'll also, when it's time for a public hearing, it'll show you how long did you have left to speak on a certain issue. let it be noted that Commissioner Hickman will be absent tonight. Tonight's 8th grade night at the Harriman Middle School, and his son is an 8th grader at Harriman Middle School. Looks like a quorum being present, I declare the meeting in order. I got a motion to approve the minutes of the December 9th, 2019 meeting. Motion by Commissioner Gann, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Gann. Commissioner Meadows. Any other commissioners would like to, any comment on approval of minutes of the December 9th, 2019 meeting? Not seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Minutes of the December 9th, 2019 meeting is approved. Moving forward, acceptance of committee reports and correspondence. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing to add.
Commissioner Berry.
Just real quick on report number 9. On that report, Mr. Woody from Oak Ridge, is our environmental review board, are they looking into all that stuff? Or perhaps you can.
So this is a letter from the Tennessee Department of Environment Conservation to the Oak Ridge Office of Environmental Management. We probably get on a monthly basis about 30 of these. So I basically periodically send these to the correspondence to let you all know what the state's doing for us as they monitor and regulate at their level DOE activity predominantly related to environmental management, environmental cleanup. So you can see on this one, kind of the reason I filed this one, you'll see that there's 22 areas and they're just reviewing a report the Department of Energy had sent them and commenting, you know, the last number 22 is on page 55 of the report. Now, I do not have access to that report. It didn't come with this heading, but I was just letting you all know what TDEC does for us as they monitor. Periodically, I'll send one and I'll send them to the Environmental Review Board, but I don't send all of them there.
So, but they're I guess my question is, they're looking out for us on all of these activities that are going on over there.
We hope so. We hope that TDEC does, our Environmental Review Board, and then our Oak Ridge Reservation Community Alliance Board also does. So there's 3 or 4 oversight agencies on some of this.
Thank you. On number 10, I know Senator Yeager, I think, addressed got a email from Commissioner Cunningham, I guess, who said that Mr. Yeager, Senator Yeager, had talked about that this morning. And I'm sure you agree, Mr. Woody, that had it not been for our committee, the silver carp or Asian carp probably in our area wouldn't be on the front list as it is now. So that committee, along with the Environmental Review Board, played a big part in getting this to the forefront, and it sounds as though it's even worse than we anticipated it is. So we just need to make sure they stay on the forefront of that. Appreciate what they're doing there. Number 11, on that FEMA report, are the projected costs on the 3 reports that or the 3 projects that have been approved, are they coming in where we expected them to? Are they?
Yeah, Amanda Daughtery's here. She, I think, or Tim, Amanda, can you come to the podium, please? We're glad you're here. Amanda's doing most of our reporting on FEMA, and we filed, Amanda, a number of these reports from FEMA that's telling us the status. And I guess the question was, our initial estimates, how close are they to being where we're at, where the project?
We're coming in pretty close. Some of the estimates are less on some of the projects that we're finding, and then we're finding that like the payroll and reimbursement, things of that nature, are actually a little bit more than what we had originally anticipated.
So FEMA's not cutting back on anything. We're about where we thought we would be in terms of FEMA. And I guess I'm going back to the money we borrowed. We're going to get about where we thought we would be.
Well, actually, the approval was $10 million, and it's on a drawdown basis, and we have drawn down 2, 3, but we don't think we'll be close to 10 at all. We may be in the 6 to 7.
As of right now, with all of our anticipated projects, that's your 2 schools, your park bridge, and all of your highway stuff, as of right now, everything together, we're probably looking at less than 8, around 8.
And I think you mentioned down on Winton Chapel where the road caved in and stuff, you're working on getting that process
We
as
are,
well.
FEMA's working with Glen Farnham as far as getting what they need on that. And as of today, we got 3 more projects approved, so we're at 7 projects right now officially approved out of 14.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I want, right quick before you go, I want to thank you for your work on this, and you give a very detailed report the other night at the emergency management meeting, but thank you for all you're putting in, and a lot of times if somebody don't keep up with this, it could fall through the crack, but you give a very good detailed report the other night. Thank you.
Yes.
Is that all, Mr. Berry? Any more questions on the approval of committee reports and correspondence? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Committee reports and correspondence have been accepted. At this time, we'll move to notaries. Madam Clerk.
Curtis E. Bunch, James W. Gunter, William J. Igu, Kathy S. Jackson, Karen B. Jenkins, Deborah M. Pillar, Brenda L. Russell, Teresa Thomas, and Chris S. Barton.
I got a motion to elect by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hendrickson.
Appreciate your willingness to serve.
Commissioner White.
Nothing to add.
Any other commissioners like to address the notaries that's before us? If not, we'll take a roll call vote on this since we are electing notaries. As everyone in the audience can direct their attention toward the screen, a lot of times it'll show who's voted and who's not, and who's made the motion and who made the second, and the vote's recorded. And as it shows, there's 14 yes and 0 no. The notaries have been elected. Moving forward, we're going to the part of the agenda, hearing the delegations. This is the opportunity for the citizens of Roane County to address your elected officials on the county commission. We ask that you step forward to the podium and you'll state your name and address. And if you can see on our screens on either sides, the commission has adopted rules that we give the people from the audience a 3-minute time period to speak. We ask that you please try to adhere within those 3 minutes. We know sometimes it's hard and we've got some issues that you want to get more time across, and we have leeway with that, but we just want to let you know that this is your time to address the commission. Any other time from this point forward, a commissioner would have to yield your time to you. And I want to go ahead and introduce this speaker because she's special to all of us. This is a former commissioner, Ms. Kelly. We want to welcome you back.
Thank you. It's nice to be here and see you all. I'm Renee Kelly, and my address is 106 Oklahoma Avenue, and that's Oak Ridge. And I read in the Roane County News that there was going to be a resolution about disallowing refugees to come into our county. And I just wanted to point out some reasons why we should welcome the refugees. Because if you look at history, the people that have been refugees have ended up being productive members of our society, particularly if you look at the Vietnamese and the Cubans that have come as refugees. They make a bigger effort than the general immigrant to learn English skills. They also have a higher rate of employment, and of course they stay longer because they have no option to return to where they're from because they've been seeking asylum or just as refugees. These people are running from out of desperation more than anything else because they're not comfortable with ISIS, and it's a Muslim nation, an Islamic nation or country that they come from, and they may be Islamic, but they don't see the caliphate, I think is what it's called, as beneficial to them, but more of a threat. And the more that they're desperate, the more likely they are to become radicalized. And that would mean that they would turn into ISIS members. And I'd like to point out that there are a few refugees that have run from political issues and religious issues, such as Albert Einstein. He came here, and look what all he did. There's also different things that they've invented, different refugees. Steve Jobs' father was a Syrian refugee, and without Steve Jobs, there would be no Apple. There also a man that invented a key ingredient to birth control pills. He was a refugee. Sriracha was also brought to us by refugees, as well as the man that invented a way to make donuts quicker. So refugees are good things.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly, and it's always glad to have you back. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
My name is Jinx Watson, and I live at 1220 Dogwood Drive, Kingston. And I'm here because I also read Friday's Roane County News about the Roane County and refugee situation. And I understand why some people might say we've got no room and no money, no time, no energy, no jobs, no interest in supporting newly arriving refugees. And we might be afraid of these strangers. And I think those thoughts come from earnest officials who believe they're protecting us as Roane County citizens. I also think that these people might be responding to the fear that's sort of been generated in our culture these days. I understand this, but I don't agree with it. First off, there's lots of different classifications. We've got immigrants, we've got refugees, we've got asylum seekers, and then we have undocumented people. Tonight we're just talking about the refugee group. The state of Tennessee has been accepting refugees for several years. Like in 2016, there were 2,000 of them that were in the state. In 2018, about 500 of them. In 2019, about 700. And these refugees are vetted by the United States government. They bear a very special status called refugee, and they are not illegal. They come from all over the world, like the Congo, Ukraine, Afghanistan, Latin America. They're forced to leave their homelands, their homes. They flee war, corrupt governments, religious and political persecution, violence, destruction. Governor Lee said some of the refugees he's met are the widows of translators we've been using over the last 18 years of war in the Middle East. Second, there are nonprofit organizations that work with these families and settle them into towns so they can become productive citizens and employees and residents. The goal is to welcome these people so they can become productive and get them as independent as soon as possible with employment, housing, and schooling. Most likely, our rural county will not be a place where refugees land, as the agency says they need public transportation to get to work. They do better where there are others from their culture to support each other, and they need a wide variety of job opportunities that a bigger city might offer. So in closing, I want to say that most of us grew up with American and Christian ideals of welcoming the stranger. I try to live my life with do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I believe in the parable of the fishes and loaves, and know Roane County can both take care of its citizens and welcome the stranger. And finally, when I talk to these folks and hear their stories, I say to myself, how could I be so lucky to live here? For there, by the grace of God, go I. Please do the right thing tonight and accept Governor Lee's plan to help in this effort.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. I'm a little nervous. This is my first time being up in this situation. But I wanted to just very briefly give an example of
Could you state your name and address, please? No problem.
I apologize. My name is Anna Matson-Cantrell, and I live on 122-3 Blossom Lane in Kingston. And I just want to sort of put a face to the American dream that I believe that people like refugees represent. Specifically, my great-grandmother was Italian. She lived in Italy during the rise of Mussolini. She and her husband left Italy in 1921 to come to the United States because they needed a safe place where they could prosper and grow a family. My grandfather was born an American citizen, and I'm very proud to be a descendant of immigrants like them. And I believe that everyone who is willing to go through that legal process of being a refugee, who is trying to escape a very scary, very difficult situation for themselves and their family members, deserve the right to do that. And I fully trust that the people of Roane County are the sort of patriotic, open, and brave Americans who would welcome refugees, much like Americans welcomed my great-grandparents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cantrell. Anyone else like to address the commission? Go ahead, sir. State your name and address.
My name is Michael Howe. I reside at 456 Paint Rock Creek Road, Philadelphia, Tennessee, in Roane County. And I thank you for allowing us to talk tonight. Your desire to protect our community and be a good shepherd of our resources is appreciated and understandable, but your fear is unfounded. Studies have shown that immigrants commit much less crime than the host communities that they participate in. As the number of refugees seeking asylum in this United States increases, we have not only a moral obligation to treat them with respect, but also a constitutional duty. I will remind you, our Constitution states all people within the jurisdiction of the United States are guaranteed due process. And our higher courts have affirmed that this does in fact mean all people, and that includes immigrants seeking a better life and refugees seeking safe asylum. There is also, fortunately, an economic benefit to accepting these immigrants. We are an aging population. Our birth rates are declining. If we seek to achieve the GDP growth promised by our current administration, we will need an influx of foreign workers. Our farms, factories, restaurants, and resorts will benefit from access to this increased labor pool. So there's not only a moral, legal, and economic reasons to accept these refugees, but it is also a benefit to future generations. And I would ask each of you, take a look at the current list of Fortune 100 companies in our country today and see how many of them are founded or run by sons, daughters, grandsons, and granddaughters of refugees and immigrants. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Sir, could you wait? That lady's got up 3 times. Could you let it go ahead so Tim don't have to get back up again?
I really want to talk to you guys. Hi, I'm Kay McGinnis. I live in Lenore City, Loudoun County, 109 Osprey Cove Court. And I was invited by Ben and Stacy today to come down and talk to you guys, just to let you know, to introduce myself first of all. I am the proud owner of the Delaney house that sits just right across town here. And what we are doing there, we've gone through a full renovation of the house. The house is over 200 years old. And we are opening that location up as an Airbnb for Kingston and Roane County citizens and hopefully travelers coming into town. I know a lot of you probably know the history of the house. It was built in 1810 to 1813 and built by a gentleman named, he was from the Revolutionary War, Gideon Morgan. So that will be the name of the Airbnb.
And this is for everybody's, this is right here across from the old courthouse, right beside the First Baptist Church. So everybody's.
Yes. So we're very excited. I am a native of Kingston. I grew up here and my family has been local here for many years. And I'm just excited about coming back into town and being in this beautiful house, and really would like to open up that you guys, we're going to have an open house, a home tour on Thursday, this next Thursday from 5:30 to 8:30, and we would love for you guys to come and see what we've done with the house and tell your family and friends about it. So we look forward to that.
Is there any way you could email somebody that information about the open house?
Yes.
Get it to Ben?
Yeah.
That way we'll get it out to
It
everybody?
will be in the Roane County News
Okay.
on Friday, and also there'll be a big banner placed on the house tomorrow so that everybody will know that. So we really look forward to having everybody come in and take a look at what we've done. And we're just excited about the house having some longevity and for people to get to come in and see this place and how beautiful it is. It is a solid structure. It will be here 200 years from now. and it's just beautiful. So we're very excited.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. Now, sir, go right ahead.
My name is Kirk Steele. My wife and I live at 402 Indigo Bunting in Harriman. We've lived here for 15 years, and I just wanted to speak again to some have already spoken about the refugee resettlement resolution, and just reiterate how much I appreciate what has been said, because I agree with it wholeheartedly. And we just want to emphasize that I believe that lots of times our fear of refugees is totally unfounded. And I was looking at some statistics from the Department of Homeland Security about who these refugees are that have been coming into our country just in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's very interesting because it seems like about 43% of the refugees who have presented to the United States since 2016 have been children aged 0 to 17, 43%. And roughly 50% have been female. And about 60% of these arrivals were dependents, which means mostly women and children. So the idea that most refugees are violent young men is not substantiated by the documented statistics. These are people who are fleeing dire circumstances and looking for some opportunity to protect their families and give a life for their families. And certainly as Roane County citizens and as a county, we want to project an image of welcome to everybody who wants to live here, and that we have open hearts, and that we agree with Governor Lee that this is a humanitarian crisis, and he is deeply involved, and he's been involved in refugee resettlement and services for many years, predating his run for the governor. And his wife, Marie, is also involved with refugees in Nashville, women of Kurdish descent whose husbands were murdered because they were interpreters for the United States during the Iraq War. And so he has said, I will not turn my back on these people. And he believes there's a biblical mandate in his Christian faith, and I would agree for myself. The Bible speaks very strongly to our obligation to have open hearts and welcome our fellow brothers and sisters who are struggling, who need a helping hand. They can fit into our communities. Realistically speaking, the chances that any would actually end up here in Roane County are slim to none, because usually they go to the larger cities where there's services and also where there's a community already there. And so we could probably rest assured the resolution is not even necessary. As I understand it, a county has to take the initiative to say, yes, we want refugees in order to be considered a receiving community. And if we say nothing, then we're counted out. So the resolution is not even necessary. So let's not go that route. Let's give a good image for Roane County, for everyone who wants to come, that this is a place for everyone, and that race and creed and national origin don't matter. If you want to come here and you have a heart to work and to educate your children, we welcome you with open arms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Hello everybody, my name is Lucinda Sheth. I live at 661 DeArmond Road in Kingston, and I am on the opposite side of the fence of this refugee resettlement. I lived in New York for 36 years. I saw when the blind sheik got his refugee asylum status, and he and his follower did the first bombing in 1993 of the World Trade Center. The Sarnea brothers are refugees, asylum seekers. They did the Boston bombing. The list is very long about these people, and I love people. In my opinion, America has no obligation to foreign nationals to settle them, educate them, give them health care, or house them. We have an American obligation to our citizens here in this country. And on top of everything, there's 30 million plus illegal aliens running around, and don't tell me they're in the shadows. They're not. They're sitting right in the classroom next to Johnny and Susie that we're paying for. So we have an open welfare state with open borders, and we're bringing more people in. And the thing I have to say about this is that the followers of Muhammad have a political system cloaked in a religion. Islam is not the religion of peace. Otherwise, there would be peace in the Middle East. But their religion, their 3 books, deal with 1/3 of how to treat each other, and the 2/3 of the books, the 3 books, are how to deal with us, the infidel, the kafir. And so far, it's not very pretty. So I say, let's have a say on refugees with the resolution passed today.
Thank you, Ms. Sheehy. Anyone else like to address the commission?
I am Jessie M. Jones. I am a resident in 115 Shady Lane, Midtown Heights, Harriman. I've come here tonight because I'm very disturbed that we would open our doors of America with so many Americans, and we're just being killed and shot down on every side. And it's not always our American people that's doing it. It's a little band of people that wants to destroy this word freedom. I'm concerned that we let people in because of this. I'll also remind you about the Manhattan Project at Oak Ridge. They come in here, they come in through, just go in the door. The first thing you know, they know everything in the world about us. They'll be able to run the place, take the place over, and we'll have to conform to their way of life instead of living under the freedom band of In God We Trust and the way we've been raised. This is why we should respect that this is our homeland. We give our lands for the Manhattan Project. Farms was just give over that we might have freedom for ourselves and the world. And I'm asking you to consider very seriously not opening the doors for any more foreigners to come in here to be educated, to take the ground from under our feet.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Mariana Mitchener-Funk, and I live at Kathy Circle 1505 here in Kingston. Last week I looked at the newspaper, and before I could even check myself, a wave of shame rolled over me that those of us who live in this county would keep out people who have suffered such ungodly things in their last 2 to 3 years. They've watched their sisters and mothers raped. They have watched their fathers and brothers killed. They have walked for heaven knows how long to America, only to be starved, beaten, and otherwise mistreated in our so-called camps at the border. Then they finally get in the tent and they have a court meeting with a judge who not only does not know Spanish, but couldn't care less. And after they tell their horrific tales, then they have to hear, okay, and you're denied. And so they have to go out and leave. If we could treat people this way, when we have a tradition, all of us, Catholic, Christian, Jewish, to give a home to the stranger. It says that in 12 to 15 books of the Bible, that our duty on life is to feed the hungry and house the poor and be good and do justice to all. My own family came over in the 1600s. America would not want them. They were the poorest farmers that they could be. They were Huguenots. So they had been very naughty in their own home. They had been against the Queen, and they had fought for their own freedom, and in doing so, they had done very naughty things. But when they came to America, they started a farm, the country's #1 rated apple farm. They grew their corn, and They became the people, the next generation or two, that fought in the Revolutionary War and helped us to win our freedom. So please rethink shutting out people who need us and have suffered more than any of us have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address the commission? Go right ahead.
My name is Eva Brown. I live at 180 Forest Road. And although I know some of these people are very well-meaning, they need to be educated as to exactly what is going on, what the refugee program is all about. First of all, how do these so-called refugees get here? Application. Refugees need to show a well-founded fear of persecution due to political view, membership in a racial, ethnic, religious, or social group. This definition has been so widely stretched that's essentially meaningless. For example, U.S. law declares that the China one-child policy...
Ms. Brown, I don't want to interrupt. Can you put that microphone up just a little bit? You're kindly loud. Thank you.
The China one-child policy is considered a persecution based on a political view. Also, people can seek asylum in the U.S. for things such as domestic abuse, female genital mutilation, or even lack of services for the disabled. In other words, almost the entire population of every Muslim majority nation in the world is potentially eligible to come here and seek asylum or as a refugee. How are they chosen? 95% of the refugees coming to the U.S. are picked by the UN. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, 95%. We have no control over where they come from or how many come here. They are selected, and then in the late 1900s, 1990s, just before the 9/11, the U.S. picked the majority of its own refugees and immigrants, but not anymore. Since in 1965, the immigration generally worked to benefit Americans, and that all changed when the Democrat politicians came up with a scheme to change the demographics. I was quiet when you were speaking. Of the U.S.
Please address the chair, please.
To change the favor of the demographics so that it favors the Democrat Party. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, H.R. 2580, enacted in June 30th, 1968, aka known as the Hart-Celler Act, eliminated the concept of quotas that had been in place for decades. By removing quotas, this bill significantly and intentionally, in my opinion, transformed the demographic makeup of the U.S. forever. The new law changed the order of preference using visa categories to focus on family relationships with citizens or U.S. residents rather than skills that had previously taken precedence in the visa decisions. This is what opened the floodgates to the concept of chain migration. If this was a scheme by the Democrats, which I believe it was, now they could label those who oppose these efforts to diversifying America as racist or xenophobic, while importing generations of future voters from then on immediately...
You could please bring your comments to conclusion, please.
All right, let me just say that the refugee program is nothing more than, it serves as a charity, more or less, for third world countries. And it has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. The State Department awards, they have a huge network of contractors who are the ones that do the resettling. They are chosen by the State Department. They are paid so much per refugee that they bring into this country and resettle. And the refugees, once they are...
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you.
I would like to finish my point.
I'll give everyone ample time, and I'd let you go over just a little bit, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission? Could you please step to the podium, sir, and state your name and address?
Thank you. My name is Bob Miles. I'm from Loudoun County. I hope you will let me to continue speaking, even though I'm not a resident.
You got 3 minutes.
These people that will be coming over here are not the kind of people that came here back after World War II from Belgium and France and Italy. These people will be coming from Syria and Iraq. These people were raised by a religion that preaches the destruction of America. These people were raised by a religion to hate Americans. The Saudi Arabians that were vetted for the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida, they were vetted, but one turned and killed 3 people. How are they going to vet these people to come over here and assimilate in our lifestyle? They cannot do it. I beg you to ask the people in Shelbyville, Tennessee, what they think of the many, many Somalians that were forced on them in their city. Ask the people in Nashville and Murfreesboro of the many Kurds that were forced on them. By the way, Nashville is fixing to build their 3rd mega mosque. And Chattanooga has 3. I went to a funeral in Chattanooga to memorialize that Marine that was killed down there by a guy that went to one of those mosques. Now, you've heard tonight how wonderful these people can do and what they can do for us and things like that. No, they will not. They will come over here, they will be given taxpayer money, and they won't assimilate. They will take handouts, and I'm just sorry to say that it's not what some of these people have told you tonight. Glenn Jacobs, county mayor of Knoxville, and Ken Cannon, the city mayor of Knoxville, wants these refugees. These rules state that if they go to Knox County or Knoxville, they can't be placed in Roane County. They can be placed within 50 or 100 miles from a county that wants them. They can be placed into a county that has not refused them. I'm telling you the truth. And my time is about up, and I have a whole lot more to say, but I beg you to pass this resolution like Loudoun County did. Loudoun County was the first county in Tennessee to do it. I would love for Roane County to be the second one.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Evening. My name is Don Smith. I live at 103 Forest Berry at Oak Ridge. I want to just get back to the basics. A refugee is a person that comes to a country because they are in duress. There is fear of either political, religious, physical altercations. And I need everybody in this room to look around. If you're not Native American, somewhere along the line you've got refugees or immigrants in your bloodline. What about all the Italian families after the wars and stuff like that? The dirty mix coming over here, nobody wanted them. The Chinese, they didn't want the Chinks. We are better people than this. If it wants to be a political issue, go to the ballot box and vote. Let's not make Roane County regret something.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the commission? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sherry Paris. I live at 114 Lock Haven Road in Rockwood. We heard earlier tonight, and I'm not picking on, I'm celebrating the fact that we have new opportunities for industry and tourism in our country, in our county. And part of that is the image what we're presenting. You look at the small town in Missouri that was on NPR this week because they were the first, one of the first communities to say no. That's the type of publicity that will come from us making an maybe unnecessary statement by putting this out there at this time. We have a Roane Commission that's really trying to publicize this as a vacation place. Sevier County had some bad publicity that they had to come through based on statements in the face of some comments that were made. I just feel like we should take a step back and look at the type of publicity we'll be generating by not being a welcome committee and accepting of different people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paris. Anyone else like to?
My name is Elaine Steele. If I may add a couple of items that my husband had mentioned. I lived at 402 Indigo Bunting Drive. I just want to ask if people understand the number of people that will be coming possibly to Tennessee across the state. 2,000 people. It's not unlimited numbers. It's not great masses of people. It's 2,000 people who have been vetted. And yes, the vetting process has been up the ante by our president so that it is even harder to get into our country now than it ever has been in the past. So yes, if you say you don't trust the vetting, then you don't trust the people that created the vetting, which is our current administration, who wants to lower the number of people that come to America. And you know, we have come here to live in Roane County. There are lots of people in our neighborhood that are coming from other states because Tennessee is a great place to live, but they're not used to living in an area where people are closed off from other people. They're used to living in multicultural communities. They've had the opportunity to know people as their neighbors and as their, friends at work. And when you get to know people as people, it loses this idea of them and us. They become us as well. I don't know, I worked in the medical field. How many great physicians are out here in our local communities that are Indians? If we didn't have Indian physicians in our communities, we might not have physicians at all. I just hope that we look at people as people, not the outside color, not what where they came from, but they're people. They're people who are in desperate need, and we can make a difference in their life, and they can make a difference in our life.
Thank you, Ms. Steele.
I'm going to make my statement brief, and it's extemporaneous. I apologize. I'll probably... my name's Liz Singley. I live at 179 Fars Road, and I'm a Presbyterian, and one of the songs that we sing is "Be not afraid, sing out for joy, Christ is risen, hallelujah." And I think that most of the people in here are probably people of God, and we are called to be generous, to trust that creation was good, that God has given us the abundance that we need to live a good life, and we will share. And we are called to be fearless, to love fearlessly, and trust that God's kingdom will come about. And I think that we should act accordingly. I think we should live accordingly and be, not with eyes closed, wise as serpents and guileless as children. And I think we're called in this case, with this enormous abundance this nation has, 2,000 people in Tennessee, across 90 some odd counties. I think it's going to be a good thing for all of us. And I think we should not publicly declare, or we should not close our doors, and we shouldn't publicly declare, no, we don't want these people here. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address the commission? Anyone else like to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll move forward to the county attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman. Just, if I may, I really appreciate, this is pretty spirited debate from folks who have chosen to come here. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here and speaking your mind, because that's the freedom that you have. And we don't often get a lot of folks. I appreciate what they've done here tonight, and appreciate you giving them the time to speak, and hope you'll come back for other issues as well.
It'd be nice to see this every month. Mr. Lefevue.
I have a couple of matters. A great percentage of the work that I do for you lately has involved the property maintenance cases, and you see the orders every month from the pending cases in your packet. And we have had a lot of success with getting the property owners to come in and clean up their property and remove their junk vehicles and their debris, basically through the efforts of the Code Enforcement Office and the Chancellor working with them. About the only time that we, as a governmental body, have had to go onto a piece of property and clean it up, haul off cars, or tear down houses are when the owners of the property are dead and no estate has been opened, or we cannot locate the owners. And that has been rare. Based on what has happened in some recent cases in our court, I'm here to advise you that it appears that Roane County is going to have to take a more active role in cleaning up these properties. In the past, the Chancellor has basically put a jail sentence on these people if they don't comply with his orders to clean up their properties. And there have been situations where he has actually incarcerated people, and in order to get out of jail, they've got to make arrangements to get their properties cleaned up. That has not been happening in the recent cases that I have had in front of him. He is beginning to order the county to go in and clean up those properties rather than jailing the owners. So I anticipate that we're going to be incurring more expenses in cleaning up those properties. We have...
Not to interrupt, this is the Chancellor?
This is the Chancellor.
Okay, thank you.
We have one that was in court this past month that you'll probably get the order on your packet next month. It's a junkyard, an illegal junkyard that's on Casey Road that we have been dealing with for about 4 years. And he ordered the county to go in and clean up the property itself. So that's going to be one expensive one that we're going to have to deal with. So I see that our role is going to be changing as far as these properties where the people will not voluntarily comply with the court order. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Secondly, you have on your agenda tonight a property at 820 Dogtown Road that is an illegal junkyard. And I need to report to you that I have a conflict of interest in that particular case. The property owner that you will have to sue, I'm already representing him in a lawsuit in Chancery Court against another private person. So you will have to hire outside counsel for that one case because I'm precluded from filing it since I'm already representing him. I regret having a conflict of interest because I know that costs the county money, and this is the first one that I've had, but I just wanted to make you aware of that.
And that's resolution 12002, I believe?
Yes, and it's for the one property on Dogtown Road. The remainder of the properties, I can pursue those for you. That is all I have tonight. In case there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Mr. Moore, then Mr. Meadows.
So when we cleaned up the process that we're going to try to do, then we file a lien on that property and recover our...
We file a lien on the property, and then if the lien doesn't get paid, it can be added to the property tax bill and collected at a tax sale, or we can obtain an order to have a separate sale just for that one piece of property.
Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Moore pretty much asked the same question I was going to. Could we, I guess we could sue them in court and get a judgment and execute the judgment as well?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Berry.
A lot of these properties that you see have a lot of stuff on them. If the county has to go in and clean those up, how do we avoid them coming back on us for getting their personal property involved, or something that, I mean, is anything on the property that we consider, that someone considers to be the litter, gives us the freedom to pick it up?
Well, first of all, we have to sue them, and then we get a court order, and we have authority from the court to go in and pick it up. We have honored their due process rights by giving them the opportunity to have a day in court to say, no, this isn't in violation, or no, this serves a useful purpose, it's not junk. So we don't do anything until we have given them an opportunity to come to court and defend if they choose to do so.
So all those bags that are out there, they need to clean and get what there's personal, and then the rest of those, we have the authority through the courts to pick up and dispose.
We get the authority through the court, yes.
Any other questions or comments for the county attorney? Thank you, Counselor. Thank you. County Executive's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a few things I'd like to discuss with you all, share with you, but placed on your desk, you'll see a little trifold. Connie and her staff is seeking the award for outstanding achievement on the popular annual financial reporting. So this is just a real thumbnail sketch of the finances. Now bear in mind, it is to a standard that GFOA has, and you know, the first question a lot of people have, and we'll go ahead and clarify this, is on the population. The population that is reflected by city is by the entire city. So if you see Oak Ridge at 29,009, that's the 2010 census. That is the entire city of Oak Ridge, not just the Roane County part. If you try to do a search now on how many citizens in Oak Ridge live in Roane County, that's something we can't find. The last couple of times I did it, I cannot even find that census data. So we have our census lady here in a few minutes that may be able to help explain some of that to us, but it's kind of, you know, we have Oak Ridge that's in 2 cities, you have Oliver Springs that's in 3 cities, so these are the city populations, not just those in Roane County. And it does not delineate, of course, the rural residents or the residents outside of any of those cities. But there's some good information. You can see that Connie and her staff has put together, and hopefully we'll get an award on that. Speaking of finances, in front of you, you'll see that the summary of financial statement that Connie's office puts together. And this time of the year, what we really look at is a comparison a lot of times with last year's property tax collection at the same point in time. And we're glad to say that this year we are already at 49% collection of property tax. Last year we were at 44.8, almost 45%. So from that, I want to bring your attention, if you will, look at your finances just a minute, and I want to share something else with you. On page 3 of 30, in the middle of the page, you'll see revenue. The actual revenue was $7.2 million, almost $7.3 million, up through December. So this is the general fund only, and of course we run about 26 of these little companies, or big companies, but this company, the general fund, predominantly the biggest expenditures there, of course, is the sheriff, the jail, and then all the courthouse departments. But we received $7.3 million in revenue, so to speak. If you'll flip over one more page, you'll see the expenditures to date in that same column at 10.8 million almost. So we received 7.3, we've spent out 10.8. Now, we track these by each fund, and people want to know why does the county have so much money at June 30th? We call it our fund balance. Each fund has it. We have to have it because these operations are in cash deficits the first 6 and 7 months of the year, but we're waiting on the property tax. So just a little part of the training that we give to county commissions and ourselves is we have to track this because we're tracking the cash. You have to have enough money to start your year and operate 6 months because the revenue comes in December, January, and February, predominantly property tax. Each fund is different. Each fund has a different calculation. Some funds are positive at this time. A lot of them are negative, but it's because of that. That's the reason when we do fund balance policies, we have to take that in consideration. I was flipping on over to another one. The schools right now, they have a large fund balance, but as a percentage of their budget is small. But right now, if you're looking at this being a profit loss, they've got a $4.3 million profit. That's one reason that the cash fund balance that they start with is basically about what the general fund starts with, even though their budget may be 60 million and ours may be 18 million. It's because we have to manage the cash at each fund level. So that's just something if you cannot sleep at night. This is a summary report. If we gave you the total report, it's about 6 or 7 times this thick. Anybody have any questions on the financials? If I don't know them, I will make them up. So.
That's right.
What's that?
Never stopped you before.
Never stopped it before. Just another thing on the financial matters, Connie and I were on a conference call.
You already said that was it.
Pardon?
I said you already said that was it.
That was just it for this one. So another financial matter, we were on a conference call 2 weeks ago, with Standard & Poor's as they were fixing to rate our new bond issue that we're fixing to sell. So we will have bonds for sale in about 2 weeks or about 10 or 12 days. They will be selling those bonds where we borrowed the money for the Oliver Springs project. We have received internally the rating report. I will say that Standard & Poor's were very appreciative of the work that we've done here, the policies that you've adopted. They commented on us having strong financial policies of fund balance and debt management. So we have a AA rating, which is pretty good for a county our size. We've been at AA for many years, but they commented on a strong financial reporting system and policies. And I want to commend you all for adopting some of those policies. We'll probably look at 1 or 2 others that they recognize in the report. They said, we recognize that you have these informal reports, and they did that the last couple of times. And I got with Connie and said, why don't we just make these informal policies of reporting and preparing budgets? Why don't we make them more formal? So we'll probably do that in the next budget adoption. With that said, Susan Whitt is here with us today. She is with the U.S. Census Department, and we're trying to encourage everyone to be counted. So, Susan, I'm going to defer the rest of my time to her.
Thanks, Ron, and I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here, and I'm so sorry it's 8 o'clock and football is starting, so I will try to be brief. I have been asked to come before you to give you a census update regarding the activities that we've done in Roane County thus far. Our county mayor, Ron, created a complete count committee in February, and we trained them regarding how important the census is, that it brings $675 billion in funding to your community programs and services that improve the quality of life of your residents. We trained the committee that the information was secure. It's a felony for any of us workers to disclose any census information, any personal information regarding anything that we get from any of the residents in Roane County. We can be fined up to $250,000 and put in jail for 5 years, up to 5 years. And we train them on how easy it is to complete the census, our mail-outs for the census, giving everyone an invitation to go online and complete the census, go out in March. They can go online, complete the census with any device that can attach to the internet. They can still call by phone to complete the census, and then our paper questionnaires go out in April, and they can complete the paper questionnaire and get that census information out. We not only, through the county executive, formed a complete count committee to ensure an accurate count. He also did a proclamation in Roane County showing the support of Roane County for the census and their assistance in helping us get a complete count in Roane County. We've had events throughout Harriman, Rockwood, and Kingston with census tables where we've distributed census messaging to Roane County residents. And then with the help of Roane County News, we had a front page article in December, and our county newsletter for January also gives information regarding the importance of the census and our need for recruiting. As I just stated, our mailouts go out in March. We need workers to do the census job. We are at 116 more that we need in Roane County for the 525 total. In order for the census to be a success, we need workers to be able to do the work. Those that don't complete the census, when we send the invitations and the paper questionnaires, we'll be sending individuals to the door to collect the information. We need your help to get those applicants. They can go to 2020census.gov/jobs. We have now increased the pay in Roane County to $26 an hour. It's 58 cents a mile, and it's flexible. They can make their own hours. I'm going to introduce you to Sonny Hunter here. He is our RA. He is our recruiting specialist for Roane County. If you have any questions regarding the application process, background checks, and actual numbers as far as where we are regarding our recruiting, he can give you that information. Until this month, we've been in the red, but thanks to our Roane County News and our newsletters and the help of Sonny recruiting through this area, we are now in the yellow and we're going for green. So we need your help going for green and getting applicants for Roane County to do the work of Roane County. We also are working with all the school districts. If you'll look in your folders, we have tract information regarding every tract in Roane County. And as Ron had stated, he was trying to figure out what was Oak Ridge and what was Roane. You can actually go in on Roane in the census and click on each tract and get population information regarding those that are living in that area. And I can actually give you information.
I probably need some help on that, thank you.
And we will help you as much as possible. And we are working with each of the school districts. We need your help in sponsoring schools in your district. We're asking our commissioners, our city council members, our business leaders in this community to help sponsor schools in your districts. Our middle and high schools are going to be doing poster contests against each class. And the winners of each class, they're going to have a pizza party. These posters are not only going to be put up at the schools, but throughout Roane County to promote the census and to motivate people to respond to the census. And it's about a $25 investment, but we need your help in getting sponsors and getting these pizza parties for these classes that are actually winning in your Roane County schools. In order for the 2020 census to be successful, it's going to take everyone's participation. And I've included a Shape the Road flyer in your folders, and it gives you an outline of what we've done and what we need to continue doing. We've met with our city manager in Kingston, our city administrator in Rockwood. Rockwood has the highest low response scores, over 20%. And so we're focusing some efforts, especially in Rockwood, to try and get self-response in Rockwood and recoup that funding that we've lost over the last 10 years. Also in your folders, information on our children under 5. We missed 1 million kids last year. Well, not last year, last census, in 2010. That's millions of dollars in programs and services that we need to get back for the next 10 years. So we need to get the message out on how important it is to complete the census, and don't forget the kids. Don't forget the babies in the hospital. Don't forget your children that might be in foster care or living with grandparents. If they are in your home, whether it be your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or Uncle George, if they are in your home on April 1st, count them on your census. We want to keep that funding and those dollars in Roane County. And it's going to take all of us to do the work of the census. Any questions?
Just in case you're wondering about that pay, commissioners, you can't be employed by the census as an elected official, so don't pay. Mr. Barry.
So we have 78 days till April the 1st.
Yes.
And that's the big day.
That's actually kind of it's not the end of the census, it's just a point of reference. I'm not sure whether to count this person in my house. We miss a lot of college students because parents don't count their college students living at home because they're adults. Yes, you count your college students if they're living in your house and sleeping in your bed on April 1st. That's point of reference.
A couple things. One, I think last year in the state of Tennessee, there were 500,000 children under the age of 5 not counted. That's $1,000 a year for 10 years. I don't know what, and you said we had how many in Roane County, kids not counted, 1,000?
Well, we've missed 1 million children throughout the United States.
Okay, so 500,000 of those were in Tennessee. And $1,000.
Well, based on the figures that you're quoting, if you miss one family of 5, that represents $50,000 over the next 10
I don't think
years.
it was half of the, you said 500,000?
5 families of 5 or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Under the age of 5.
She said 1 million nationwide, but 500,000 was.
That's what we were told.
Okay.
And the other thing on college kids, as I understand it, if you put that your college youngster is in Knoxville going to school, then Knox County gets that money.
Right, exactly.
So-
Whichever college, if you're in a dorm in Knoxville, or, well, now, if they're going to college in Knoxville but living at home, then they're going to count at their home residence.
But if they're in a
They'll
dorm,
only count in Knoxville in group quarters count, which they're going to be starting soon in Knoxville, yes, if they're living in the
So
dorm.
we need all of our college kids to
come home on April 1st. To be home April 3rd. That's my point, is that we're losing whatever number of college kids that we have away from home in that number.
If they're living in the dorms.
Right.
Now, if they're living at home, they will.
So what happens if those parents don't understand that if they're living in a dorm and count them as living at home?
Well, in September, they'll actually be bringing all the information together. If we have any duplication, it'll be weeded out before it's put on the president's desk on December 31st.
Okay, so we have a really good plan then between now and April the 1st to make sure that we, because I haven't heard anything in Rockwood.
Yes, we do. In fact, the city manager in Kingston is going to, we sent him information. He's going to choose what is going to go in our utility bills, but there are going to be inserts in all of the utility bills that go to all the residents that have electricity throughout Roane County. And
Now that's Kingston.
that's our Kingston city manager. Our Roane County administrator, they're doing similar inserts, not only in the utility bills, but they're also doing it in the vehicle registration. And so is Kingston in their.
So is RU on board with that as well?
Yes,
Good,
I
good.
have
Okay, very
actually
good.
supplied them with materials. And any information that you can get across in our roadmap, it talks about newsletters, websites, Facebook, utility bills, chat rooms, anywhere that you can get census messaging, put it on there and get that message out that the census is important, it is secure, and it's easier than ever now to complete the census. We need your help in doing that.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Anybody else? Questions? Go ahead, Ms. Wood.
Thank you for the information. I was sitting here wondering about the homes. Who counts the homes?
That'll be covered in our group quarters count, and again, that's why we need our 116 people in Roane County to go online and apply today, 2020census.gov/jobs, because that is part of what is going to be going on now through April is our group quarters, where we're going to be counting the homeless, soup kitchens, dormitories, nursing homes, any facilities that actually house people will be part of our group quarters count. And then starting in May is when our census takers start going to the doors within a 5-mile radius of their home, and further if they're willing to go, to get that census information from our residents. And we want it to be our Roane County citizens that apply for these jobs because they have a vested interest in the outcome. We want them going to the homes and getting that census information because it's people each of us know. They know their areas, the safety of their areas, and they want to keep that money in Roane County as well.
Any more questions for Ms. Witt?
And I do have posters available for anyone that would like to have a poster, a census messaging poster. I will leave them in our city mayor's office, in our county mayor's office, and you can go there and collect the posters to distribute all over Roane County and every building, businesses, organizations, agencies. We're asking all of you, come get these posters and put them up where there's a lot of foot traffic and people can see how important it is for them to complete the census.
Thank you, Ms. Witt.
My pleasure, thank you.
Still under the county executive's report, Mr. Woody.
Anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Woody.
Thank you.
Move along, we have resolution under zoning resolutions, resolution 012010, resolution of the Roane County Planning Commission recommending action of the Roane County Legislative Body on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map as requested by Eckerd Halscher. I'm sure I've not pronounced that right, on Paint Rock Road from OI to R1. Got a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Hester.
Another request, we discussed it.
Commissioner Cunningham. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Hendrickson.
On this one page here, it says they want the property rezoned to R1, so new owners will not be able to use property other than residential. So who's asking for this? Is it the new property owners or the previous property owners?
Mr. Gopher.
The request was made by the adjoining property owners, but the actual property owner, Mr. Jones, come in and he's not against having the property rezoned. And it comes from the Planning Commission with full recommendation to be rezoned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Meadows.
Can you describe real briefly what the zoning differences are and where they are, where they're going?
Yeah, R1 is developing our low-density residential. OI is office institutional, is different permitted uses.
Any other questions or comments on resolution 012001Z? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and record the vote. Resolution 012001Z is adopted. Move along to old business, resolution 121904, resolution asking the state legislature to consider school superintendent position becoming an elected position.
I'd ask that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Bell?
I'd ask that you, before we get into a long discussion about this, because it could turn that way, that we would recognize the people that
As soon as we finished old business, that's what I was going to do, Mr. Bell.
I thought we were special.
Do I have a motion for Resolution 12-1904?
Yeah.
Motion by Commissioner Bashirs. Second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Bashirs.
When I was running for election, about 90% of the people ask me why we don't do this, because elected officials, they have a chance to do what they're supposed to do as a school superintendent. If they're under the control of the school board can control them instead of the people controlling the school. The people want to vote for their person, that they want to be there, and that's the reason this resolution was brought up.
Commissioner Hendrickson.
Further, says,
Any other questions or comments on the resolution? And just right before we vote, this is just a recommendation to the legislature. This don't mean that there's going to be elected school superintendents going forward. This is just a recommendation to the legislature, encouraging for us to go back to an elected superintendent of schools. So everyone's clear about that. Nothing binding, just a recommendation. Seeing then, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Resolution 12-1904 is adopted with an 11-3 vote. Now, without objection, I would like to, without objection from the commission, I'd like to move Resolution 01-2003 and I'll get these straight tonight somehow, 01-2004 to the first of new business. Without objection, so we'll take up Resolution 01-2003, a resolution honoring William Bill Golston, Jr. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson. Second by Commissioner Bashirs. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I just appreciate everybody supporting this. Bill Golston was a very good and honorable man. And I wish we would do more of these while they're still with us. That's all I have.
Commissioner Bashirs.
I've met him 2 or 3 times, and I thought the world of him whenever I talked to him and had conversations with him. I think he's a fine man.
Any other questions or comments? No, we'll record the vote. Resolution 01-2003 is adopted. If the family could come forward here to accept the resolution that's here. Come right here, Corey, or stand right beside Mr. Hendrickson.
Resolution honoring William Bill Golston Jr., whereas he was of the Baptist faith, and whereas he was a member of Southgate Masonic Lodge, 569 32nd degree Mason, and whereas he owned and operated Golston's Record Service in Harriman for over 40 years. He was named Tow Man of the Year for saving a life, and whereas he was a former police officer for City of Rockwood and Harriman Police Department, where he served Assistant Chief. And now, therefore, be resolved, the Roane County Commission does hereby honor William B. Golston, Jr. I'll tell a quick story when he was Tow Man of the Year. And I can't remember if it was close to his shop or what, but there was a boy, a young man in a car wreck, and he was slung out of the car, and the car was actually laying on him. And the police got there, and they called for ambulance, rescue squad, and all that. Well, Bill got there first. And if anybody knows Bill Golston, how he was, he had one speed. And if you didn't like it, you dang sure wasn't going to not like the next. But I can see him now hitting a speed that none of us had ever saw, and he got that car rigged up and lifted off that boy. and that did save his life, and they was able to get him to a trauma unit, so I just wanted to share that.
Say anything for you?
I do appreciate it. Bill's my father-in-law. We spent 21 years together with them trucks, and he really is appreciated. I don't think he can be replaced around here. And I'd like to thank everyone here for showing the support for him. I do, man. Thank you.
Bill's wife couldn't be here tonight. She is battling cancer, so she had treatment today. Thank you.
Just stay right there, Commissioner. Resolution 012004, resolution honoring the services of Keith Howe. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson. Second by Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I'll save my comments for here in a minute.
Commissioner Berry.
I must be being set up here, he's saving his comments. Keith Howell has been an institution here in the courthouse for a long time. He's an institution wherever he is, but especially here in the courthouse. And Keith and his family, his dad was an institution around Harriman. And Keith, we appreciate what you've done here in the courthouse, keeping the old place up as much as you can. I know you can only do so much. We appreciate your service and look forward to seeing you around in a different capacity, but a happy retirement.
Any other questions or comment on resolution 12004? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12004 is adopted. Miss Dee Dee, if you come on up here. In the family, if you want to come.
Resolution honoring Keith Howe, whereas Keith began working in Roane County Courthouse 2002, whereas Keith has dedicated 17 years of service to Roane County government. And now therefore be resolved that the Roane County Commission does hereby honor and thank Keith Howe for his service to Roane County. My experience with Keith goes back as far as I can remember. His family, my family have been friends and all that, but one of the memories I have of Keith is him running the dirt races, the racetracks. And the one thing I really appreciated about him, he didn't care if you was a local boy, if he bought you a Christmas present, if he knowed you that well, or if you was an out-of-town racer, you got treated the same. And that's the way he treated us, and I greatly appreciate that and respect that out of him. And thank you for being a good friend. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Keith, I know you ain't going to pass the opportunity up to speak.
Yeah, I'll take one drink with all of it.
Keith, would you like to say a few words?
I want to thank everybody for this opportunity to be here, and thank for everybody letting me work here. And met a lot of good friends, most of them. But thank you for everything that y'all have done.
So when's the working going to start?
I'll go back to work sometime.
Mr. Chairman, I think he was trying to beat me to see who turned their paperwork in first. Mine was December the 31st. Good to know you, Brother Keith.
Thank you. Moving back to the regular agenda, Resolution 12001, a resolution authorizing Roane County Attorney to file a lawsuit regarding the properties as listed on attached case request form by violating Roane County Resolution 12-1805 and/or Resolution 12-1806 regarding the 2018 International Building Codes and the 2018 International Residential Codes. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Meadows.
I'd like to yield to Mr. Telfer in case he would like to add anything to these cases, but the pictures speak for themselves.
Mr. Cofer.
I think Mr. Meadows said it pretty well. The pictures should speak for themselves.
Mr. Meadows. Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add, sir.
Any more questions or comments on 12001? Ms. Hester.
So on item number 3, is that the one we're going to remove because you have a conflict of interest?
Well, you're not gonna have to remove it.
Well, we continue with the resolution, but we'd have to seek another council to,
Yes, and that's on resolution
The next
12002.
okay, maybe I'm getting ahead. Yeah. I'm good with the first one.
Any other questions or comments? Not, we'll take the vote. Resolution 12001 is adopted. Resolution 12002, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to file lawsuits against each property owner regarding the properties as listed on attached case form by violating Roane County Resolution 2101, April 2013, regarding the Roane County zoning regulations and/or Resolution 11403 regarding overgrown vegetation and accumulated debris. Motion by Commissioner Meadows. Second by Commissioner White. And right quick, Mr. Meadows, how do you want us to handle this with, like Mr. Hester was speaking, just pass it the way it is and we have to...
Just pass it the way it is, and then, Mr. Woody, you'll need to find someone.
I think I have the authority.
You have the authority.
Commissioner Meadows.
I have nothing to add unless Mr. Telfer has anything.
If anybody has any questions.
Commissioner White.
Nothing to add.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we record the vote. Resolution 12002 is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Grover. Thank you. Resolution 12005, a resolution to name a bridge on Highway 27 in honor of David Courier. Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Berry.
I'd gotten a phone call, I guess 3-5 months ago from, I think it was the granddaughter of David Courier, Jan Courier. She asked me if I would see if we could get a bridge named after David out on 27, the last bridge in Roane County on 27. And I told her I would, and so Senator Yeager had indicated to her that for him to get it on this year's legislative calendar, that we would need to pass a resolution tonight. So that's why I brought it up. And one thing I would like to amend is the first line where it says he served the 2nd District of Roane County, Tennessee for many years. That should be 16 years. Instead of many years, that should be 16 years. And I think it was 94 to 2010. And I would welcome anyone wanting to join on submission. Like I say, when she called, time was of the essence, and that's why I did it. So I'm sure all of you, I know Commissioner East served with Commissioner Courier here, and he was involved in athletics both in Harriman and Oliver Springs. I think he was the baseball coach at Oliver Springs High School for a while, and boys and girls basketball coach in Harriman, and a really good guy. In fact, I think he worked here at the courthouse in the evenings with our inmates, didn't he, for a while. So he served in many capacities, and so I would hope that commission would see fit to pass this resolution. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Hendrickson, would you take that 16 years as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Mr. Hendrickson, you have any question or comment?
Barry pretty well covered everything, so we'll let it go at that. He was a very good commissioner.
Right quick, if the commission's okay with it, and I'm not touching up my foot, by the way, so you guys are watching that screen. I know this has not been for the road committee or the legislative committee, either one, so it'd be at the will. I'm fine with it if we don't want to send it, because we've been pretty strict about sending things to committees in the past, but I understand that.
I don't think I don't think the last one we did, for Commissioner, Bacon, did either side. Whatever you want to do, though, Mr.
Oh, that's fine with me. I just want to make sure that, I know sometimes we stick to that, so. Any other questions or comments, Mr. East?
That's who Mr. Bacon was to the commission, because you put it in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on Resolution 12005? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12005 is adopted, and that will be forwarded on to the legislature through Mr. Woody. Resolution 12006, a resolution to request that Governor Lee be, by written notice, inform the resettlement agencies which maintain offices and operations in Tennessee that they may not place arriving refugees in non-consenting counties. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I seen what Governor Lee is planning on doing, and I've had a lot of people here tonight say that we're scared, and it has nothing to do with that. I believe in taking care of my family first. I think it's 1 Timothy says, man needs to take care of his home. And I think us as elected officials need to take care of our community. And we have children that are going to school and going home from school hungry. They're home on the weekend hungry. We have vets living under bridges, other homeless people, and elderly that are trying to figure out each month how much food they can buy and still buy medication. And I believe we need to take care of them first. And so until we have anybody that's not hungry and not homeless and have to worry about their medication, then I believe we need to take care of them first, and that's all I have.
Commissioner Meadows, you have the second.
I agree in a lot of ways with Mr. Hendrickson. I'm not scared of immigrants, and I think the right way that they're brought, that they're allowed in is really good. But I look at just the economic side of it, and we have homelessness here, we have hunger, we have medical needs, inadequate school facilities, overcrowded jail. We have our own problems, and I just don't see that we honestly can afford any more stresses on our finances than what we have right now. And I think we need to get a better handle on what we have going on here before we can take on much more. That's how it boils down to.
Commissioner Can.
Yes, I appreciate everybody who came, and there's a statement made early. Wish more folks would come to the commission meetings and speak. It really helps us as commissioners to know what people feel and what they think and how they believe. And it helps me. I don't know if it helps other folks, but it certainly is a help to me. As I listen to some of this, and I have read what Governor Lee has said, and early on I appreciate the folks who gave definitions. I went and looked up definitions of refugees and immigrants and illegal aliens and those who seek an asylum. I looked all those definitions up. And if you look up the definition of a refugee, it is someone who is seeking protection. It's someone who cannot protect themselves. I know that's not popular, and believe me, I understand. I mean, right now, we just gone through a crisis with Iran. And tonight, I read on the news earlier today that the police in Iran is shooting citizens because they are refusing to stone on American flags. It isn't the citizens of that country that hates us, it's the leaders of that country that hates us. We're a free country. Every man and woman in this world seeks one thing, to be free. I mean, that's why we have the United States, is because they seek freedom. And so, in saying that, I don't know if anybody here knows a gentleman by the name of Gerhard Heinz. He's a German. In the early 40s, during the Second War, we had 11 German POW camps in the state of Tennessee. Several was in East Tennessee, one's in Crossville. Some of that still remains today. In the state of Tennessee, during the Second War, we hated the Nazis. We feared the Nazis. We hated the Nazis. We wanted every Nazi dead because they hated us and they wanted to take over the world. And they wanted to destroy us and they wanted to make us like them. Evil did not prevail. Good prevailed. The Lord blessed us. Let me just clarify that. But anyway, they had camps. Those prisoners, when the war was over, they really didn't want to go back to Germany. There were several of those prisoners, several of them, who filed for refugee status. And some are still there. One went back to his country in Germany, was there for 5 years, and while he was there, he applied for citizenship for the United States. He said when he came back to the United States, he was granted it. He was granted it. He said, "I am home." He was home. He spent most of his life in the United States. He resided in Crossville. He was an outstanding citizen. Now I know they are evil people that do evil things. I mean, they are good people that do bad things. So they are evil people who do evil things, and they are people who seek to kill us and destroy our democracy and wants the United States destroyed. But a refugee is someone who is being oppressed for religious or political views, not because they want to make us a Muslim. The Nazis, I don't know if the Nazis wanted to make everybody a Nazi. I don't really know. Maybe in the 40s, maybe our fathers and our grandfathers and our grandfathers' grandfathers thought we was chosen to be Nazis. But we're not. So, I support Governor Lee. I do. I don't believe in illegal aliens. I think that you know, if you want to be an American, you should apply. You know, we need people. We need people. But it has to be done the right way. And I think those who are seeking refugees are seeking it the right way. That is a process that they are willing to go through to be citizens of the United States. It's a process. It's not illegal. It is a legal process, a federal law that they follow, mandated, that they will go through to become citizens of the United States. So it's not an illegal act. They're not illegal immigrants. They're not illegal aliens. They're not climbing walls. They're not swimming rivers. They are coming over here sponsored and ready. So I apologize if I said too much, and I don't want to offend those who oppose this. I don't, but we all have a right to how we feel. That's what makes us America. And so that's how I feel. Thank you.
Commissioner Barrett.
Mr. Lefevre, if we're only talking about the federal program now, right? We're not talking about if a church wants to sponsor 8 or 10 families to bring them in, that wouldn't come under this one?
In the early 1980s, Congress passed a refugee assistance statute that's codified in the United States Code. And basically what it did was establish a federal program to relocate refugees. And this statute basically says that in operating this program, the federal government can place these refugees wherever the federal government wants to. That's the law of the land. On September 26 of 2019, President Trump adopted an executive order that basically says that in his administration's application of this federal refugee relocation program, his administration will not place refugees anywhere where the state does not consent and where the local government does not consent. So under this executive order, the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health and Human Services in operating this program is not supposed to place refugees anywhere where the local community does not consent. Now, it just applies to the federal program. It doesn't apply to any private program that a church or a citizen may.
So in this case, Governor Lee is saying on behalf of Tennesseans that he will allow the refugee program.
But under this executive order that the president signed, you have to have both the consent of the state and the locality.
Both of those.
Both of them.
So in essence then, our resolution is of no value. It's voided because if we don't, we would have to vote to take them, right? Not to keep them out, to take them.
Under the executive order, the way that it is written, and I'll read this to you. It says, in particular, the process shall provide that if either a state or a locality has not provided consent to receive refugees under the program, then refugees should not be resettled within that state or locality unless the Secretary of State concludes, following consultation with the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Secretary of Homeland Security, that failing to resettle refugees within that state or locality would be inconsistent with the policies and strategies established under the federal statute that I just told you. So basically, the intent of this is to require both the state and the locality to consent. Now, I'm not going to say that your resolution is of no effect because your resolution makes a statement on behalf of your body. But I can tell you that, first of all, your resolution has no effect on federal law, and it's a policy statement. And the intent of the executive order that Trump signed on September 26, 2019 is to not place refugees under this federal program in a locality that does not consent to refugees. So your resolution, if you adopt it, you're making a statement that you're not consenting, so you're putting that on the record, and you're making a policy statement as to how this body feels about this particular program.
But the only binding resolution would be for us to vote to accept them, which means then that they can send refugees to us. under the federal program, because the state already has under Governor Lee.
Well, like I say, you're making a statement, there's, under this executive order, there are two requirements. That the state agrees to accept and that the locality agrees to accept, unless the Secretary of State determines that he needs to place them here anyway, which is consistent with.
Ask it another way, so as long as we don't vote to accept them, then we are within the federal guidelines of not.
As long as you don't vote to accept them, then you're making a statement in accordance with Trump's September executive order that this locality does not want. Now, having said that, there is a loophole under this executive order that says that if the Secretary of State determines that he needs to place them here, then he can still place them here because you have a federal statute that says that he can place them here anyway. So, but you know, if you adopt this resolution, then you are making it known that you're not consenting to the program being implemented here.
I guess I just hate to see again for something that really we don't really have to get involved in. You know, I would suggest that we wait until we have to make a vote, a meaningful vote that keeps us in tune with the law, other than becoming a vote to just that has no consequence to it, other than just pretty much saying that we are not a body that's willing to accept some folks. I certainly don't want us to be in a position of being a sanctuary county, but I think all of these things that we have control, especially if we have the vote until, because I think there are churches that sponsor these refugees. There are individuals who bring them into their homes, and this might deter some of them from wanting to do that. And I guess I concur with Commissioner Gann. I hope we're better people than that.
Just out of curiosity, how many people has read the full resolution? And just audience too.
What is it?
How many people has read the full resolution?
Full resolution?
As submitted in the paper. Is it just the newspaper? Well, right quick, just at a chance of being shot here, I want to read the resolution so everybody knows. We've all spoke either which way, and I'm not going to take an issue, but I think it's important that we read the resolution. Be it resolved that Roane County does not want to be forced into participating in the federal refugee settlement program due to either Governor Lee's consent and or being with the permissible placement radius of resettlement agency office. Be it further resolved that Roane County requests that Governor Lee retract his consent for initial resettlement in Tennessee for both 1 year period of time as stated in his letter and or actual consent period required by funding notice. Be it further resolved, Roane County requests that in the event Governor Lee does not retract his consent for initial refugee resettlement, that Governor Lee submit a revised letter to consent to the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and House Speaker Cameron Sexton, exempting non-consenting counties from forced participation in the initial resettlement of refugees in Tennessee. Be it further resolved that Roane County requests that Governor Lee, by written notice, inform the resettlement agencies which maintain offices in operation in Tennessee that it may not place arriving refugees in non-consenting counties. I just wanted to read that to make sure everybody knew exactly what the resolution it was voting on. Mr. Wilson.
Well, echoing what Commissioner Berry was saying, I think, are we not, and even saying just like that, what he just got through saying, are we still, is this even needed? I know that you can make a voice, but are we stirring the, you know, is this gonna make any change if the state secretary, if he can still trump us and do whatever he wants in that need, and we're not under imminent threat at this point, are we making a viable statement that is needed?
Well, you're making a policy statement, and, you know, your office deals with policy. I don't deal with policy, I just deal with law. And legally, under this executive order, you've got the right, when the time comes, to not consent. Now, as to whether or not you want to make a policy statement with this resolution, that is in your prerogative, not mine. But in explaining the law to you, under this executive order, if there is an intent to place people in this program in Roane County.
But we would still have to say yes, even though we're making a statement, we still have to say yes.
The county would still have the right, regardless of what the outcome of this vote is tonight, to consent or to say no. Under this executive order, until this executive order is changed, or unless the U.S. Secretary of State determines that he needs to place them here anyway. But, you know, you have to understand, these executive orders, they don't change the law that Congress passes. It just states how the Trump administration wants to implement the law that Congress has already passed. And under the executive order, if Roane County is intended to become a part of the program, then under the executive order, you would have the opportunity to say, no, we don't want to be part of the program.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm going to be brief. One of the things I hadn't heard here tonight, and is close and dear to my heart, is our homeless, our veterans that are living on the street. I haven't heard anything how we're going to combat that problem. Not only here in our county, Knox County, Loudoun County, all the counties surrounding us. And it's not that I'm against anyone coming to this country. That's how our country was founded. But I think we have a moral obligation to those that are in our back door. And we never hear anything about that. It's even got to the point that it has consumed our larger cities. I'd like to echo something else that I heard tonight, is our elder, those that are on fixed income, those that may not have degrees, that they work those labor jobs at minimum wage, that come down to the point that they wanted to retire. And the Social Security was so minute. See, the Lord's blessed me, and I didn't make a lot of money. I had a modest salary. But the Lord blessed me to where I could help my mother. If not, she couldn't afford the medicines that it took her to live for month after month. And the good Lord saw fit to take her home in 2017. So, as biblical as I am, and as biblical political as some of you all may be, our charity begins at home. And when we address the issues of what's in our back door, then we are able to grow, stretch our boundaries, and help those that are seeking asylum in the United States. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks.
Commissioner Cunningham.
I'd like to point out what Ms. Paris said when she got up to speak about people looking at Roane County, people, their consideration of living here, why they want to live here, why they don't want to live here. Do we really want a reputation as, well, we don't want outsiders in here, we don't want to help these people? And the definition of the refugee, and of the 480, according to the governor's report, of accepted refugees in Tennessee that were resettled here, more than half of them were from the Congo. They were escaping, they were coming here because they were being raped and murdered and just all those other things. And yes, we have to take care of what we have here at home. But we've had a lifetime to do that, and generations to do that, and it's still here. They're still homeless, and they're still poor, and we still are trying to help them. But these people that are escaping and getting away from a tyranny that we can't even understand, do we really want to put that out there and say that, well, you know, we got to take care of our own first, and 200 years from now, we might have that problem solved, and then we'll take those other people in. And like we said, there's people, I've had phone calls all day from people who said, don't support that resolution. I'd take that refugee family in my home. We're not asking the county to support them. These are people that organizations will support, churches will support. And we're sending our troops overseas to help them anyway. So why not help the ones that are getting beat up? If they want to come over here, and these are vetted people. These are not illegals. I think it's a reputation thing that we need to really think about what Ms. Paris said. Thank you.
Commissioner Hister.
March of 2017, Tennessee filed a lawsuit against the federal government on the Refugee Act of 1980, and it's still pending. So we don't know where that's at. They're seeking to repeal the Code of Federal Regulation 45-400.301. So we still don't know where that's at, but, and I'd be curious for it. There's more education to be done about this, but let me just tell you where I'm at on this. And I appreciate everybody that came here and spoke. For it, against it, either way. But man, I've had the unique privilege and opportunity to be in 20 foreign countries. A lot of them third world countries. One of the last third world countries I was in, I had to go to an orphanage of all things. Escort some medical personnel down there to care for these 300 or 400 kids in that orphanage. And you know, I had to wear my sunglasses the whole time I was in that compound. If some of those people are part of that refugee, then bring them over. The children affected by it. I still follow a missionary today that's over there in Iraq, in Syria, today, trying to get kids into an orphanage, into a shelter, trying to get them refugee status. So I support that. And our resolution has no power whatsoever to take away or add to the federal government. Roane County cannot impose its will on the Secretary of State. It just ain't gonna happen. And we ain't gonna do it on the state of Tennessee either. So this would be a good time to do nothing, say nothing, and take no action. But I'm gonna take an action today, and I'm gonna vote against this, because I just don't support it in my heart. I conclude.
Commissioner Bell.
Well, he stole my words. That was as good as you could put it. Just a couple of months ago, I had you could say a refugee from Nicaragua where they had overthrown, stayed in the house for 2 or 3 months. You know, this is not binding. It can be overthrown. And I feel that we're sending a message if we do this to the man that could possibly be funding something here, grant funding something here in Roane County. We send something, and we don't even know what he's proposing. We don't even know how they're going to dissect what his refugee plan is in the state of Tennessee. I mean, the session starts tomorrow, right?
Yes.
They hadn't even started. We don't even know what Tennessee's proposing. We don't even know what the governor wants to do with his. I think he's ready. If we take action, all we're doing is sending a message that we're not going to stand behind when we don't have to send that message right now. If there was something pending to hurt Roane County or its citizens, we still have the chance to put something up. But I hadn't been in that many countries. That's awesome. I hope to get to that many countries, but I've been Central America, a lot of Central America. He's right. If those people get in a bad way, I open my home for sure. If we think we can legislate or if we think we can do something in government to help this, we're wrong. The church has got to stand up and do it. At the end of the day, that's what's failing is our church and our communities. We got to come together as a people to help these people, these homeless people. You know, government's not going to do it. We got to do it as people. But I don't think I can support this today either. So that's all I've got.
Commissioner Moore.
I've been to few countries, some of them over in Southeast Asia. It's been about 50 years. I think we have a tendency to get what we see on TV and immigration and caravan and all of that we see hyped up on TV. I think these people are coming in. I have ancestors that understood what immigration was about. They were Native American. And how did that work out, okay? Just saying, okay? A few other people came, and the next thing you know, we're in Oklahoma somewhere on a reservation, so that immigration worked out real good. But refugees still coming through the system are still able to come. That's not a problem about the government or whatever. I don't have a problem. I like my president. I'll be honest with you. And I ain't ashamed to stand up and tell him. Not many people will, but I will. You know, I'm old enough, I can do that. And I've got enough backbone to stand up here in front of you and tell you. And be glad of it. I support missionaries and people in other countries and all that. How many of you can give them an acre of your property when they come in here? It'd be a little different giving somebody else that steps away, okay? We always tend to do that. We spend somebody else's money pretty easy. We don't do too well when it comes to our own. It's just that. I have no problem voting with it. I think at some point now, whether it's worth the paper it's written on, it doesn't matter. If you don't tell somebody, we let a lady in Texas in the late 60s and early 70s fill our jail up over here. That was Miss Madeline Mary O'Hara. Take the Bible and prayer out of school. Now we're spending $25 million to build a jail to put them in 40-something years later. Nobody said nothing. Or we'll offend somebody. What happened? We offended now when you charge them over here. You know, keep spending, and 5 more years you're going to build another jail, $40 million more until you change that culture. So it don't matter, and I'm a Christian, and I don't mind telling that either. And I know better than to get the Bible and politics in the same room. I've learned that over the years. If nothing else. My mother, bless her heart, she was 100 years old until October the 27th. And I know what she would have had me to vote. And now, stand for something. And I won't be sitting here 20 years from now. Hopefully I'll be here 30 years from now, if I make her age. And saying, I wish I'd have said a little something, rather than just sit back here and say, well, you know, we're not mistreating those people. It's just saying, hey, Governor, if you decide to do this, we're just saying we'll be counted. And I don't care where you vote for it or not. I intend to say, yes, when I finish my voting. That's the only thing I've got working tonight is a voting machine here. I can't get the computer. So I don't feel in my heart, I can lay down and go to sleep tonight, and my conscience will not bother me, because my vote kept somebody from coming here, because obviously it won't. If the government wants to do anything, face it, folks, they're going to do it regardless. And they're doing a lot of it right now. They're not doing much in certain places. They're doing a lot of things that I don't agree with. But that's my opinion. I'm an American citizen. And I fought for my country. And I have the right. And I pay my taxes. And I have the right as an individual to stand up and say, I don't think that's the right thing to do. Or, hey, don't put them on my 5 acres of ground. That don't make me less of a Christian, okay? Not in my Bible, and it's the King James if you want to look at it, you know. It needs a better Bible, but it ain't one yet, so. Anyway, I'm gonna vote for it, even though I understand it probably don't mean nothing in the long haul, and I'm just delaying it, but nobody's scored yet on the ball game, so it shouldn't make any difference. It'll be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Clemson's up 7-0.
How long is that?
LSU scored.
All right.
Commissioner Wilson.
I would just like to make a motion, echoing some of the commissioners that have spoke, to withdraw Resolution 01-2006.
Can we do that? We already got a motion and a second on the floor.
You can do a motion to
Table.
The only thing you just call for question, you call for question.
We call for question, we can vote on it, you can make a motion to table.
Question. Get it over with.
That trumps everything, call for question.
You gotta vote on whether to call for question.
Exactly, because it's,
You only call for question, just a question vote.
Mr.
Yes,
Mr. Wilson had the floor. Hold on, Mr. Bell. Mr. Wilson had the floor prior to him, Mr. Hendrickson calling for the question. But he calls for question, but would we go back to Mr. Wilson since he had a motion to, I guess, he made a motion with.
You need to dispose of Mr. Wilson's motion because he has the floor. So did you have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Berry to withdraw Resolution 12006. We've got a motion to withdraw by Commissioner Wilson, second to Berry with Mr. Berry. Commissioner Wilson.
I really have nothing further to add. There's nothing else I can add to this. I think we all know where we're at and how it stands. That's it.
Commissioner Berry.
Yeah, I would just echo again, I think we've heard that in order for us to actually receive any of these refugees, we would have to vote at some point to receive them. Again, I think what we've heard is again, why subject ourselves to a decision that doesn't mean anything. Thank you.
Commissioner Bell.
So we got two motions on the floor.
No, we have one motion currently on the floor. That's a motion to withdraw by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Berry. That trumped the motion for a second, first and a second. So we'll be voting on a motion to withdraw at the moment.
was off the original motion.
So if a man put a motion to put it back on, that would trump the motion, so we can just keep making motions, is that how it works? I don't understand, we've never done it this way, but you can amend it, table it, I'm asking you.
Well, the motion to postpone it indefinitely cannot be interrupted. So that's why you have to deal with his motion to postpone it indefinitely before you take up any other motion.
So the indefinitely part makes it supersede the original.
Because Robert's Rules of Order says that basically you've made a motion to kill the main motion. That cannot be interrupted, so you gotta deal with that before you deal with anything else.
With Robert's Rules of Order, what this body adopted.
Yeah. Thank you.
Question.
Call for the question by Mr. Berry on motion to withdraw. We'll try to do it by voice vote. All in favor to call for question on the motion, debate on the motion withdrawal, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, question's been called, so now we're on the motion to withdraw Resolution 12006 by Commissioner Wilson and second by Commissioner Berry. Now we're going to vote on this, and this is the motion to withdraw. This is not the motion voting on whether we support the resolution or not. This is to withdraw the resolution.
And debate.
All in, ready to record the vote?
So yes is to withdraw.
Yes to withdraw, no's to, we're back on the resolution. Mr. Hooks, Resolution 12006 by a vote of 8-6 has been withdrawn. Moving forward, Resolution 12007, a resolution authorizing Roane County to submit a 2020 Community Development Block Grant application. Give her a second to get caught up for.
We send that to the governor.
We've got a motion on Resolution 12007, Community Development Block Grant application. Motion by Commissioner Meadows. Second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Meadows.
From what I understand, this is a block grant that would be through Roane County EMS, and if Mr. Suter would like to add to this, that's actually what it will accomplish. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Mr. Suter, would you like to add anything to this?
The CDBG grant would purchase ambulances for the ambulance department.
So just to add a little bit to that, when we put our capital budgets together every year, we're trying to keep our ambulances on a rotation schedule. And as we put our capital budgets together, then we send them to Jamie Kennard, who's back there in the back also, to see if we can receive any grants for any of these items we have in our capital budget. So from that standpoint, this is, we buy ambulances every year, and if we can get a grant to pay for them, we want to try to get those grants.
Commissioner Meadows.
One thing I would like to go ahead and note that these have not gone through the OES committee. However, the grant needs to be filed next month, and for that reason, I'd like to ask that, well, they will be.
Unless there's an objection, we don't have to go there.
Okay, I just want to bring it out.
Is that all, Mr. Meadows?
That's all.
Commissioner Hooks.
I'm good.
Commissioner Berry.
I think this is pretty much an annual, that most of our community development grants have gone to buy ambulances. That's how we've turned our fleet over. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments on 12007, 2020 Community Development Block Grant application? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12007 is adopted. Resolution 12008, a resolution authorizing Roane County to submit a 2019 Assistance to Firefighter Grant application. Motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hooks.
I'll yield to our county executive.
It's kind of the same provision here. We have capital plans. We look at them every year. This body reviews them. We review them through the budget process. And if we can see a grant out there that will help any of our departments, we apply for it. But as always, the commission has to approve us making these applications, because generally there is match money required, and this is, you see, it's $12,000 for a $262,000 project.
Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add.
Any other questions or comments on Resolution 12008? Mr. Berry.
Is this for all of our fire departments, Mr. Woody?
Well, this is for all of our, this helps our fire service. I don't know if they get distributed to all of our fire departments in some cases. Is this one is coming through, is this one that, the money doesn't go to our volunteer fire departments in this one, does it? This is the one we stay local in this one. For our countywide
All fire this goes department.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 12008 is adopted. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, I got a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Gann. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Meeting is adjourned.
Coronavirus has reached 106, with the number of sickened now over 4,500. The number of confirmed cases in the U.S. now at 5.
There's no evidence that the individuals with whom these 5 individuals came in contact have been infected.
Dr. Anthony Fauci with the National Institutes of Health. America is listening to Fox News.